A pendulum is a weight suspended from a fixed point so that it can swing freely back and forth, and it also makes for a good metaphor for the tendency of a situation to oscillate between one extreme and another. This is also similar to the way a swing moves back and forth, and when regarded in a historical context, can be compared to the way different time periods have tended to move in a cyclical manner rather than progressing in a forward, linear march. The pendulum of life often swings until it reaches a tipping point, and then it shifts course and swings back in the other direction. This concept also seems to apply to the way religious organizations have functioned over time, such as with the Catholic Church, which at one time carried a very strict social policy. For example, during the Holy Inquisition, when a group of institutions within the Catholic Church made it its aim to combat religious dissent starting in the 12th century and what it called heresy, which resulted in the genocide of certain groups such as the Cathars. Cathar comes from the Greek word meaning pure ones, who were a Gnostic sect with followers that called themselves good Christians, but the Catholic Church did not recognize their belief as being Christian, and so they were often burned alive. During the late Middle Ages and early Renaissance, the concept and scope of the Inquisition significantly expanded in response to the Protestant Reformation, which is an example of the religious pendulum swinging away from the authoritative control of the Church to a degree of religious freedom, where the Bible was translated and published into other European languages, such as French, English, and German, giving direct biblical access to the common people rather than dependency on the clergy, who were the only ones who could read Latin at the time. I'll include a link in the description to a video I did on the Protestant Reformation for those who are interested. This also resulted in what is called the Counter Reformation, or Catholic Revival, which was a response to the Protestant Reformation and the period when Europe underwent several decades of religious wars, expulsions, heresy trials, inquisitions, and the founding of new religious movements and orders. Such policies had long-lasting effects in European history, with exiles of Protestants continuing well into the 1700s. A man named Lorenzo Cassini became Pope Clement XII and led the Catholic Church from 1730 until 1740, during which time he banned Catholics from becoming Freemasons, a prohibition which lasted from 1738 until 1983, where any Catholics who publicly associated with or publicly supported Masonic organizations were excommunicated. Which brings us to the topic of today's episode, regarding a secret organization that came about from this ban called the Oculists. The word oculist is basically the same in meaning as an optometrist, and the chosen profession used to disguise a secret order that was no longer permitted by the church, so continued by disguising their activities by publicly proclaiming a different activity. In the same way that alchemists publicly claimed to be trying to convert common metals into gold, but really working on other esoteric transmutations, the Oculists chose the symbol of the eye doctor as a cover for their occult inner workings, which, like other secretive orders, revolved around initiation to become a member. The master wears an amulet with a blue eye in the center. Before him, a candidate kneels in the candlelit room, surrounded by microscopes and surgical implements. The initiation has begun. The master places a piece of paper in front of the candidate and orders him to put on a pair of eyeglasses. "Read," the master commands. The candidate squints, but it's an impossible task. The page is blank. The candidate is told not to panic. There is hope for his vision to improve. The master wipes the candidate's eye with a cloth and orders preparation for the surgery to commence. He selects a pair of tweezers from the table. The other members in attendance raise their candles. The master starts plucking hairs from the candidate's eyebrow. This is a ritualistic procedure. No flesh is cut. But these are symbolic actions out of which none are without meaning. The master assures the candidate. The candidate places his hand on the master's amulet. Try reading again, the master says, replacing the first page with another. This page is filled with handwritten text. Congratulations, brother, the members say. Now you can see. For more than 260 years, the contents of that page and the details of this ritual remained a secret. They were hidden in a coded manuscript, one of thousands produced by secret societies in the 18th and 19th centuries. At the peak of their power, these clandestine organizations, most notably the Freemasons, had hundreds of thousands of adherents, from colonial New York to imperial St. Petersburg. Their lodges were considered by some to be safe houses where free thinkers could explore everything from the laws of physics to the rights of man, to the nature of God, all hidden from the oppressive, authoritarian eyes of the church and state. But like the pendulum effect we discussed earlier, things do not remain static. They change, and organizations also change, ironically in directions often opposite to the very reason they were founded in the first place. Where at one point in time, a secret society held meetings to protect and ensure freedom, at another point in time, those same organizations are infiltrated and subverted, used to eliminate the very liberty they swore to uphold. As for the symbolic sight restoring ritual, it was actually by accident that brought it to light. It started with a 250-year-old coded manuscript that was recently deciphered by machine translation, which used algorithm software to unlock the mystery.
My name is Kevin Knight. I'm at the Information Sciences Institute at University of Southern California, and my area of research is natural language processing. So the Copial cipher is a 100-page book and includes 75,000 characters. Several hundred years old, written entirely in cipher. We had no idea what the book said, and no one had deciphered it up to this point. We used some automatic methods to cluster the letters. So we looked at groups of letters that behave similarly. We also have programs that can identify the language behind the text, and it gave a slight preference for German. One thing we noticed was that the Roman letters in the text all seem to have a similar behavior to one another. The first hypothesis that we had was that's the real code. In the end, it turned out that those Roman letters were the spaces between the words. And the first two words that we could see here in the German were ceremony of initiation. So that was very exciting because we had no idea what the book was about until that point. And the next two words were secret section. Only later, after we cracked it, we found out it was a document from a secret society from the 1730s. Secret societies were kind of a craze in the 1730s. So this opens up a window for people who study the history of ideas and the history of secret societies. The book has several parts, and one part describes the rituals that the society uses. But there's also a lot of political things at the end of the document.
Written in German, the manuscript was detailing the initiation ceremony of the Oculist sect, fixated on both the anatomy and symbolism of the eye. They focused on sight as a metaphor for knowledge. Centered in the town of Wolfenbüttel, Germany, on their crest, the Oculists featured a cataract needle and 3 cats, which some surmise were symbolically used because they could see in near darkness, but the cats were also guarding a cage full of mice, watching over them. Their attitude was rather progressive compared to other male-only secret fraternities in that women could be Oculists too. Starting on page 27 and continuing for the remaining 78 pages, the cipher detailed the rituals performed by the highest degrees of the Masonic order rites, unknown to ordinary Masons at the time. Nothing was omitted from the description of these top-level rituals, including the veneration of Hiram Abiff, builder of the Great Temple of Jerusalem, whose decomposed body became the alchemical emblem for turning something rotten into something miraculous and golden. My name is Robert Sepehr. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. I would like to thank those who support me through patreon.com. There should be a link below for those who are interested. I appreciate it. Thank you. I also want to extend my gratitude to anyone who shares these videos, as I rely on word of mouth. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe for updates. As always, I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section, so please leave a comment below. Have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you again soon.